Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Suzanne Gundersen, and today we're going to be teaching you about somatic wellness techniques. Our agenda is fairly straightforward. We're going to talk a little bit about the science of stress, what somatics is, what it can shift, how to rewire the nervous system using somatics, talk about a few case studies, and really wrap up with the message of that we are wired to thrive. So who am I? I'm Suzanne Gundersen, and for 15 years I've been working in natural stress management. I use techniques based in neuroscience, somatics, and energy methods. I really am passionate about empowering people to transform their stress and reconnect with their bodies and their lives. I use many modalities to do that. And I am so happy to be here and share some of these with you today. So let's get into the science of stress. I mean, got stress, right? It's almost like a joke. Who doesn't these days? Where do they live? We wake up to global awareness on top of being overstimulated, overworked, overwhelmed, and our poor bodies are just not able to rationalize all that we're experiencing. And so our stress response is staying on. And what's happening is that we're ending up living in either a low-grade chronic stress, or we have trauma symptoms, or we're even unhealthy coping in some way. So what is stress? Stress is the body's reaction to perception, but really a word called neuroception, which was a word made up by Dr. Stephen Porges, who's the author of the Polyvagal Theory. And neuroception really just means that our body is full of nerves all over, and it is constantly detecting without awareness what's going on within us, outside of us, relationally between us. It happens both consciously and unconsciously. How does it do that? Well, there's this amazing nerve in our body called the vagus nerve. It is our 10th cranial nerve of our autonomic nervous system. It connects our gut to our brain, to our face, our heart. I want you to think of it as kind of a superhighway between the body and the brain. And what it's doing is it's just sending messages all day long, whether we're feeling safe, threatened, or we're in danger. Now, 20% of those messages being sent are going from the brain to the body, whereas 80%, that's 4 times as more messages are actually being sent from the body to the brain. And so really it's state before story, meaning state of being in your human body before it becomes a story. And truly stress lives in the body. Now our vagus nerve, it affects many things. It affects first our survival response, whether we go into fight, flight, or freeze. It affects our behaviors, whether they're physical behaviors, emotional behaviors, or mental behaviors. It affects our attachment style, whether we're secure, anxious, or avoidant. So there's something called vagal tone, which is kind of an activity level of the vagus nerve, and it's unique to each one of us. It really is measured by our heart rate and breathing. And we can either under or over message, using the vagus nerve to help us understand whether we are threatened or in danger or we're safe. But any type of over messaging or under messaging can really dysregulate the vagus. However, vagal resilience can be developed using some of the techniques I'm going to be sharing with you today. So remember, I invited you to think about the vagus nerve as kind of a super highway. Really, which highway would you want to be driving on here today? The super highway is really sending messages from the body to the brain if we're safe, threatened, or in danger. And remember, if we're over threatened, our vagus nerve can lose what they call vagal tone. And that vagal tone really measures how effectively and efficiently really our state of being is regulated through the vagus nerve. So when we have unresolved stress, it kind of weakens the pathway of the vagus nerve and we lose vagal tone. But when we can resolve stress, when we've got some resilience, it actually strengthens the pathway and we build vagal tone. So it's really the difference between kind of like a worn down highway where we just have lost a lot of vagal tone, it's kind of a bumpy ride, or we're kind of on a smooth sailing where we kind of, are able to resolve stress more efficiently and we build vagal tone. So something called heart rate variability, as I mentioned, how vagal tone is measured is through the heartbeat and your breath. And so when there's more chaotic, unpredictable experiences that are happening in the vagus nerve, we dysregulate our body systems and our resilience weakens. And when we have more efficient range of tone. It means that we are able to handle stress within our window of tolerance, and that our body systems stay healthy, and it actually can help us to build resilience. So I want us to kind of test out our neuroception and vagal tone here. Imagine if I yelled out loud right now. Your body would react first in a split second. Your heart rate might increase, your breath might change, your muscles would tense, cortisol would be released, and then the emotions would get involved, which can further change our body systems to go into defense mode. And so when it comes to the mind, well, it just simply cannot react as fast as the body. And so all those mental connections get interrupted. So to really make room for, what's happening in the autonomic nervous system, which is survival. So this is why we just can't outthink stress. And this is how stress takes that thinking mind offline, because the body and the emotions are sideways, reacting to threat. So I want to just take a little bit of a look here at the brain. This is called the triune brain, 3 sections of the brain, the triune brain. Starting at the bottom, we have a brainstem, where the nervous system connects to our reptilian instinctual brain, where we automatically respond to stress with fight, flight, freeze strategies. Our midbrain is our emotional brain. It's called the limbic brain. It's where we have glands like the amygdala, which is kind of our emotional fire alarm. There's a gland called the hippocampus, where we store memory. And then at the top of the brain, we have the cortex layer. And I want you to know that notice that there's no direct connection here between, the brainstem and the cortex. And this is why when it comes to regulating stress, we need to start in the body first. In fact, stress takes that thinking mind offline, and why we experience mental confusion and brain fog, especially when we're under stress. So going forward in this presentation, I'm going to refer to stress as something that we need to resolve physically, emotionally, and mentally, in that order specifically, which matches the layers of the brain here, right? Physically being reptilian brain, emotionally being the limbic brain, and mentally meaning the cortex layer of the brain. So put a pin in this picture in your mind and remember it as we move forward. So here I'm sharing a copy of a picture of a bell curve, which is our amazing, amazing stress response in our body. And first I want to say, not all stress is bad. We need stress in order to grow and expand. Each of us has a unique window of tolerance. Let's call that our resilience level or our vagal tone. And that's what we're here to learn how to develop, so that we can successfully respond, manage, and recover from stress with more ease. Our nervous system is hierarchical, meaning that we start with the most modern survival strategy, and then we revert to ancient strategies in order to survive. So let's start here at the bottom layer, the green layer. It's our most modern part of our nervous system, called the parasympathetic nervous system's ventral vagal system. It's our safe and social nervous system. It's where we use connection and communication to feel safe. And if we can't regulate there, then we begin to rise up into the middle layer, which is that orange section. It's our sympathetic nervous system's fight, flight, or freeze. And then if we can't resolve stress there, then we continue to rise up on the stress response. We get to the top layer, which is the red layer. It's our parasympathetic nervous system's dorsal vagal part of our nervous system, where we tend to freeze. So I want you to think of your nervous system as a traffic light, and that we always want to just go green, right? Each layer of the nervous system has physical, emotional, and mental symptoms, some of which I list here. In green, we're physically relaxed, we're flexible. When we're in sympathetic nervous system, we're contracted, and yet we're trying to mobilize. We've kind of tensed our muscles, and we're trying to go fight or flight. And yet when we're up in freeze, we can kind of get stuck and become immobile. The goal of somatic wellness techniques really is to help your clients regulate their bodies and stay green. So I mentioned a word called resilience. I want to get into that just a little bit more. What is stress resilience? It's our natural bounce back ability. It's strong. It's having strong vagal tone, really. It's having a window of stress tolerance that keeps us green. And no judgment here. Remember, one person's paper cut could mean a day off of work. Another kind of wraps a Band-Aid around it and just keeps going. So stress is our body's reaction to neuroception. We've got the vagus nerve that messages whether they're signals of safety, threat, or danger. And we can have a weakened vagus nerve and vagal resilience if we are over messaging of threat and stress. And so here's an opportunity for us to know that, we have an ability to develop more tone using somatic wellness techniques. So we need to develop stress resilience. Why? Because we're living largely extended without much resilience, which is our bounce back ability. We're slowly losing pieces of ourselves with the day-to-day grind that we go through. And while we're able to build, resilience to survive, we really need some tools and skills that can be practical to get there. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey of your nervous system. I want you to imagine standing at the foot of this water right now and just notice, what reaction do you have in your body? What reaction do you have emotionally? What thoughts are you thinking? This picture's pleasant enough, right? This should be a nice, easy experience. Just stillness, nice and peaceful. Now I want you to imagine standing at the foot of this water. And what reaction do you notice in your body now? Perhaps you tense up a bit, or maybe you get on guard. What are the emotions that you're having right now? Maybe a little bit of liveliness of, am I okay? And then what kind of thoughts are you noticing? Maybe I need to get out of here, or, move away before I get knocked over. And then imagine standing at the foot of this water. What reaction do you notice in your body now? Can you even move? Are you holding your breath? What emotions are you experiencing? What thoughts are you having? So each of those images took us on a journey through our stress response. We rise up on the stress response, and if we don't have a way through or down, we can get stuck. We need to be able to recover back to that state of green, calm aliveness, which is our modern survival strategy. So let's unpack what somatics is. Somatics really just means soma, which means body. Somatics connects the body to the mind through our internal perception experience. When we experience stress, the body has two natural responses. First is it contracts and squeezes in, and second is to release and shake it out. It's kind of like breathing in and breathing out. The body contracts and then it releases. It breathes in, it breathes out. The thing with stress, when it compounds within us, when we stay living in low-grade chronic stress, is that we don't release. We get stuck in the contraction with either in fight, flight, or freeze. So somatics really are the natural techniques that can help to reset the nervous system and restore natural rhythm, and even help, us be able to get green in our ventral vagal nervous system. So what are vagal toning exercises? Well, they're really skills that reset the vagus nerve. There are different breathing styles. They are body orienting exercises. They're grounding exercises. They're also social engagement cues. Remember, our most modern survival strategy is social engagement, meaning that we really look to another human in order to tell us if we're safe or we're not. And what we're looking for is, their facial expression, their tone of voice, their pace of speaking, their regulated breathing, their regulated heart. If we don't get that, then we go revert back to those old strategies. So it's really important for us to learn how to offer safe social engagement cues to other people. That way we can start to, as a human race, kind of calm everybody down. So vagal toning exercises, they calm that reptilian and limbic brain. Remember I asked you to put a pin in that triune brain in your mind, the bottom being the reptilian brain responsible for the body's reaction, the middle layer being that limbic brain responsible for your emotional reaction, and the top being the cortex layer that goes offline when your body's overwhelmed. So vagal toning exercises can really calm that reptilian brain and the emotional brain. And it helps to reset our natural body rhythms in the moment of stress. And it also helps us to build, resilience, which is our bounce back ability and our window of tolerance. So what can somatics shift? They can do many things. First, they're going to shift things in your nervous system. If you are in a state of freeze, which could mean that you are disconnected, disassociated, hopeless, helpless, in that type of state, it starts to thaw out that freeze. If you are full of anxiety and anxiousness, it helps you to process fight or flight. and be able to discharge tension and stress and resolve trauma patterns and even regulate the vagus to build that vagal tone. If you're someone who is often startled by any small thing, big thing, it'll help you overcome the startle response and be able to stay safe in your body's experience of stress. Help you to learn safe connection, build inner resilience, build rapport with your own body, and truly be able to increase your own window of stress tolerance. And your window of stress tolerance really is just your bounce back ability, is your vagal tone. And it's not something that you can say, I'm going to choose to have a window of stress tolerance. You really need to build it within body rapport. So what can somatic shift for the issues, the practical issues? It can help relieve depression and depression symptoms, anxiety symptoms, help people overcome fears, all the way through to addiction recovery, helping people break bad habits and build confidence and worthiness, along with the rest of the list here. And this is not an exhaustive list, by the way. So we really need to befriend your stress. And here's a picture of that triune brain again, remember? We need to turn towards stress with more acceptance, really. We need to label it and identify our experience with it. Is this a physical thing I'm experiencing? Is this an emotional thing? Is this a mental thing? What state is my nervous system in? Am I in fight, flight, or am I in freeze? And remember, stress lives in the body first. So we always want to help the body calm down. That's what somatics can do. So if we look at the chart here on the bottom left, what the body looks like when it's in freeze, well, typically it's immobile, it's stuck. When it's in fight flight, it is antsy and trying to move around and get something done. And when it's in safe and social, our ventral vagal nervous system, we're very relaxed and flexible. But yet when we're in freeze, in an emotional state, we are kind of hopeless and in despair. When we're in fight flight, we can be anxious or angry. And when we're safe and social, we're kind of curious and content. And the mental attitude of someone in freeze is, I can't. The mental attitude of somebody in fight flight is, I can and I have to go do this. And the mental attitude of somebody in safe and social is, I'm present and I'm safe. We're going to get into now some rewiring using somatics. So what is it? Rewiring with somatics, really, these are techniques that clinicians and therapists and coaches that you can use in your session, to be able to professionally help your clients rewire their nervous system. These are polyvagal based exercises, that tone the vagus and help us get back to that green state. Remember that modern part of our nervous system. I always say, go green. So here we're going to get into it. So let's start with some somatic release and reset exercises. Remember, somatic means body, and that's always where we're going to start when we're regulating stress. Our body has two natural responses. The first is to contract and squeeze in, and the second is to release. Remember, like breathing in and breathing out. So I'm going to take you through a sequence of grounding and orienting exercises that are going to help you to stabilize the nervous system and really soothe that threatened brain, that reptilian brain. And as a result, we're going to be looking for, a spontaneous breath, a yawn, sighing, swallowing, overall body relaxation. Maybe your shoulders start to drop and your jaw starts to relax. Some facial muscles start to relax. Maybe you just feel a little bit more slumped over, like slumped back in your chair, nice and relaxed. That's what we're looking for here. So let's do this. So just kind of sitting comfortably in your chair. I just want you to follow along to my cues. And I first just want to rub your hands together. And then I want you to kind of just rub your arms, rub your legs, even clap your body. Start clapping your body, right? Let's get some aliveness moving in that body again. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of body movements. So you can just in your chair, put your arms up over your head and just in straight arms, just kind of bend over to one side and then bend over to the other side. And then sitting there, you can just kind of move your hips in a little bit of a circle in your chair and then go back the opposite way. Now, if you can do these standing up, even better, but you can do them sitting down just as effectively. Next thing I want you to do is just, whether your feet are barefoot in flip-flops, in shoes, it doesn't matter if you're inside or outside. Just take your toes and just kind of squish them into the bottom of your shoes, squish them into the floor or the grass even, and just squish your toes and then just wiggle your toes a little bit. And then you're going to take your entire right foot and you're going to lean it onto the edge of the right foot. So there's a picture here I'm showing on the left middle part of the screen. This is an ankle stretch. So if you just took your right foot and you twisted it, that way you're getting a little twist on that ankle and you were leaning onto the outer edge of your right foot. And then you just take that foot and just wiggle it out a little bit and then do it on the opposite foot. So put your left foot rotated to the left so that you're actually leaning into the outer edge of your left foot, stretching that ankle a little bit. And then just wobble both of those feet on the floor next to each other now. Maybe you feel a little bit more blood moving in your feet. We're really trying to enliven the nerve endings in the side of the foot. That will help us get grounded. Another wonderful thing to do is just to kind of lift up onto your tippy toes, squeeze your calf muscle, and then slowly lower your heels to about an inch above the floor and just hover there. And then sink your heels to the floor and then lift your toes up, wiggle your toes, and then just bounce your legs. So do that again, just onto your tippy toes, squeeze your calf muscle, and then slowly sink your heels to the floor and then lift your toes up, wiggle your toes, and then just bounce your legs. The next thing we're going to do is squeeze release. So I want you to just tighten those toes onto the floor. Tighten all of your leg muscles, squeeze your glute muscle, even shrug your shoulders, make fists with your hands, squeeze everything in. You might even notice some trembling begins to happen as you squeeze. That's totally normal. And just hold it for maybe 15 seconds, squeezing, 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 until you just need to release and just take a nice exhale and release that squeeze. So let's do that 2 times. Another time here, squeeze everything in. Hold it, squeeze it. Squeeze your toes, squeeze your legs, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your shrug your shoulders. You can clench your face a little bit. And then let an exhale out and let it all go and just wobble your shoulders, bounce your feet, bounce your legs a little bit, and just breathe. Remember, stress squeezes in the body. So we want to almost exaggerate that squeeze and just keep going inward with the squeeze. And it would be almost like kind of unlatching a tight belt buckle. We want to just open that tight belt buckle and just be in the release mode. So that's what squeeze release can do for us. Another brilliant technique is something called hands push out. So you just take your hands, rub them together, shake your hands out, and then I want you to make really strong bicep tension with your arms. So really just squeeze your bicep, really feel that, make some, strong arms, and then open your hands, turn them outward, and you start to just push. And push like you're pushing something very heavy away from you, like a boulder. And you're really, really pushing. And the more tension you can use in your arms, the better, because then you actually really feel like you're moving something. If you just kind of go through the motions of doing pushing out, you're really not going to be moving anything. And what we're trying to do here is make space around us, because stress squeezes us in, because stress kind of contracts us and has us feeling very, very limited. And this is why we take such shallow breaths when we're stressed, or just in general most of the time, because we're so overstressed. So you really want to just rub those hands, make those muscles in your biceps, and then just use that tension and push, 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 push. Push it out in front of you, push it out behind you, push it out overhead. And then, wow, you might notice that there's some space around you now, right? Space to breathe, space to relax. The next thing we're going to do is a long exhale, and we're going to hold it out. And you may hear people say, oh, just take a deep breath. Let's just breathe. And I say, please be very careful with that, because when we take a big, deep breath, what we're doing is we're signaling the nervous system that we've got to go be active and mobile and go defend ourselves. Imagine if you heard that loud noise or heard me scream right now, you might just take like a big deep breath. Like, what do I need to go do? But what would happen when your body calmed down? You'd kind of exhale it and relax. So exhaling is the key to calming down the nervous system and helping build vagal resilience. So just noticing your breath, no judgment here. Depth of your breath can be whatever it is. On your next exhale, I invite you to just exhale all the air out of your lungs. And just when you think you have it all out, just push a little bit more of it out and just hold it as long as you can. And then wait for that spontaneous breath and let the body take that breath and then settle into some normalized breathing. So let's do that one more time together. Just noticing your breath. On your next exhale, exhale all the air out of your lungs. Hold it out, hold it out, hold it out. Wait for that body to take a spontaneous breath. And then just normalize your breathing. The next one we're going to do is humming. And we can do this really very simply by just saying the word "voo." So we've got this vagus nerve I mentioned that runs from our viscera, our body, up into our brainstem, and it runs right along the side of our spine. And so it runs right along the back of the throat. So when we start to hum, what we're doing is we're vibrating that vagus nerve, and that's going to help it, become more smooth. We want to regulate it to be able to build vagal tone. And so we're just going to say it together. We're going to do the word "voo." So just as long as you can hold it, "voo." And then your body will take a nice, easy breath after that. So do that a few times at your own pace. And then just breathing at your own pace. Wonderful. The next one we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of tapping. Our bodies are energy. We've got rivers of energy in our body called meridians. And when we tap on energy points, we're promoting the circulation of the energy body. So what I want you to do is take 2 fingers of one hand, start tapping on the top of your cheekbone. And then on the other, and then I want you to just start humming like you just did the "voo." And then you're going to switch hands and tap on the other side. And I want you to count to 10 out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you're going to go backward and do more. Boo. And then alternate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. And what you're doing there is so many different things. One is you're regulating the vagus nerve with the humming. And you're also using a creative part of your mind, especially if you're humming maybe a song that you knew. And then the counting uses the other part of your brain. And then we're tapping at the same time, which is using the energy system. So there's so many things going on in concert here to harmonize the mind and the body to calm down off that stress response. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to follow our breath into our lungs. And I want you to look around your space and notice a color, notice a texture, notice the shape of something. This really helps the body to be able to orient to time and space. So just following your breath into your lungs, maybe even notice the temperature of your breath, the depth of your breath. Just do this a few times while you're looking around your space, looking for different colors, different shapes, and different textures. Now, if for some reason you're holding your breath or your clients are holding their breath, then I just invite you to help them sigh with a sound. Ah. That really is going to help loosen up the vagus nerve as well. And if they're really clenched in their jaw, then just invite them to just slowly open up their mouth and ask them to stick out their tongue. It's okay. Do that a couple of times when you see them clenching their jaw, just to practice the motion of opening and closing their mouth. And if they're hunched forward, definitely invite them to kind of ease back and get into a relaxed, supportive position in their chair. And if they're scrunched up in their face, just invite them to kind of just take their hands over their eyes and just kind of massage slowly the forehead and just relax and soften the face up just a little bit. Just help the face relax. So all of these things you can do in a session with a client or with yourself if you're watching this. And what we're really doing is we're helping the body to get grounded. We're helping to reset our vagus nerve. And also we're going to help regulate our breathing. and calm our heart, which are those two key pieces to help us know how we're doing with vagal tone. Really what we're doing is helping the body feel more safe in connection with the present moment. And how we know we're getting there? Well, as we went through these things, you may have noticed yourself take a spontaneous breath, or yawn, or sigh, or even swallow. And maybe you just feel some overall relaxation in the body, like your shoulders, or your neck, or your face. And people often ask me, why swallowing? And that is that when we're in fight or flight, the body literally is like it's running a marathon. And to run a marathon, we can get parched. We can get dry mouth. And so we really want to bring the safety back to the body so that the saliva can start to come back again. And then when it does, then we'll have saliva to swallow. And that's how we know we're staying safe. Okay, so you've heard me say this a couple of times here. My motto is go green, meaning get connected with our heart, face, and social nervous system and help the body relax and feel safe and connected there. And, offering safe and social engagement safety cues are during a session with your client or just even out in the world can really help people relax and be able to be more present safely. Really, going green, we need to going green will attract, collaborative connections and people who we can really feel like are a part of our tribe. It's been such a huge buzzword these days, go find your tribe. But really, the more safe and social you can be in your nervous system, then you will attract people who are also safe and social, as opposed to if you're in fight or flight, you're going to attract other people in fight or flight. If you're in freeze, you could be tracking other people in freeze. It's all about relationally nervous system to nervous system. As a practitioner, you need to be the regulated one in the room. So definitely doing all those techniques before a client session would be very beneficial for you to offer yourself as a healthy co-regulatory container for your clients. But also really, everybody just needs to be offering these social engagement strategies out in the world so that we can unite all nervous systems. So one of the first portals to our nervous system, our vagus nerve specifically, is voice. We have a direct portal, meaning that we have direct connection to regulate our vagal tone through our voice. So keeping a clear, high tone, a paced voice, even a smile through your voice is going to relax other nervous systems around you so that your message can be heard. Another portal to the nervous system is through posture. And so posture is a body language that speaks huge volumes. When we're stressed, we often kind of slump over, our jaw gets clenched, we furrow our brow, our lower facial muscles really communicate threat to other nervous systems. So definitely chin up, chin up to your clients and then invite them to pick their chin up as well. And so definitely, sitting up tall, lifting your chin, standing proud is definitely going to be something that's going to help your nervous system have a little bit more confidence. Our heart, face, social nervous system is watching all the time for a lifted facial muscle, which helps open up our unique inner ear muscle for us to hear better. So when we're lifted with, our chin up and we're smiling and we're using our facial muscles, it's opening up that inner ear muscle, and that way we can hear better. So definitely practice smiling to yourself. It kind of boosts your own worthiness as well as all of those around you, and the clients you have in front of you possibly, you smile at them, it's going to relax their body. It's going to make them feel safe to be able to be vulnerable and sharing with you, as well as, just in general, people need to be able to feel safe in order to be their authentic selves. So I'm a big passionate advocate about just smiling at the world everywhere you go. And I know through COVID, a lot of people have been masked up, obviously. And as we start to take off those masks, just smile at people. It will help to relax their body and their nervous system, and they'll be able to be more safe to feel that they can be social. Gesture is another incredible way that we can offer social engagement strategies. We just an inviting, welcoming gesture, like putting your hands out or just having relaxed body language, gentle touch where it's appropriate, but truly even just an easy thumbs up at somebody can really make them be more at ease. So gesture is a great one. And then eye contact. There's no better relief to a fellow nervous system than to know where you stand with somebody. Making direct eye contact can really convey trust and honesty and reliability. So be willing to engage and look people in the eye. Now for certain clients or for anybody that may be in freeze, they may not be willing to look you back in the eye. It may be very threatening to them. And so there's other strategies to help them out of that, which are more, orienting strategies, like the ones around looking around the room for colors and textures and shapes of things. But for those who are in fight flight, they need that human connection to safely help them regulate back to safe and social green part of our nervous system. So why somatic wellness techniques for therapy and trauma healing? Well, stress and trauma live in the body, right? And Dr. Stephen Porges, his definition of trauma is a chronic state of disconnectedness. When we peak above our window of tolerance without ability to regulate, well, then we need skills to recover, some like the ones I share with you today. Somatic techniques can really help the body complete that stress response and come back to safe connection. First and foremost, always within and then with others. So integrated client recovery, whole client recovery really needs top down and bottoms up to be connected. Top down being all the wonderful work that you do in therapy, and bottom up being all of the somatics that we went over today, including more that are available out there. So if the clients are stuck in their story or they can't open up, it is time to get into the body. Tension, stress, and trauma live in the body, and the way out is through the body. There's so many effective somatic techniques that complement the top-down therapies that you do. Hopefully you'll use some of the ones I share with you today, and there's so many more always being developed. So what are some of the things that can arise from these techniques that clinicians should be aware of? Well, first, you want to make sure that anybody who is in freeze, it may be a little bit alarming to them. It might startle them to start to feel sensation in their body. Or if somebody is resistant, they may be in fight flight and they just don't want to calm down. Or just kind of a stuckness or an unwillingness to move. And really, it requires you to be a safe co-regulatory experience with them. The more you regulate yourself, the safer that they will feel in their nervous system to be able to relax and open up to you. So here's a cheat sheet of nervous system states and what we need when we're in those states. So if your client demonstrates that they're in freeze, typically what they're showing you on the outside is they're distant, they're avoiding eye contact, they're kind of hiding. On the inside, they're feeling disconnected, unfocused, withdrawn. And what their nervous system really needs in that sense is to help them orient to time and space around them. Really offer yourself as a regulated person, keeping all those social engagement cues of, voice and gesture and posture as being welcoming to them. Really telling their nervous system that they're safe. When their nervous system is in fight flight, they probably are very antsy sitting in their chair. They might be hyperactive. They might be talking very quickly. They might be loud or trying to get away. But on the inside, what's really happening is they're full of anxiety or anger, or they're overwhelmed and they just can't sit still. And their nervous system really is asking for, for another regulated nervous system to attune to them. To look them in the eye, to help them see through the facial expression, through the tone of voice, that they are safe. Also seeing other smiling faces around them is very helpful. Just showing pictures of people who are smiling at them can help them relax. They can't look at you. And ultimately, when they're in that safe and social space, they are able to make safe eye contact. They are a good listener. They are engaged in conversation. They are feeling more safe and calm and approachable. And what their nervous system is saying then is, hey, come play with me. I'm ready to learn. Tell me what my boundaries are. Acknowledge me for what I'm doing well. That's the time to do that. So I want to talk a little bit about client successes with these techniques. Somatics can really help your clients become more safely embodied in the present moment, which is that green zone, right? It helps them to shift from states of threat into states of peace and safety. Remember, it awakens that freeze, it gets their body moving safely and processing through fight or flight, and it helps to just overall relax the nervous system. So here is a client of mine, Tracy. She's a sexual abuse survivor. Her biggest complaint when I met her was that she would awaken every day with daily dread, living overly mobilized. So she was using these techniques, and very quickly, actually, she was able to help her body safely titrate down off the stress response and down regulate to a place of safe connection. We did this together. We worked together for about 2 months, probably about twice a week, sometimes once a week, using these techniques along with other techniques to really help her anchor that state of safety. And she has and continues to report to me that she wakes up now in peace, and that she continues to do these exercises often. I have another client, Troy. He is in addiction recovery. He had a lot of gang violence experience, early developmental trauma. His chief complaint to me was that he was unable to sleep in peace. He often had nightmares of the experiences that he'd lived through and was often on the edge of relapse. So doing these techniques, he was able to experience some restorative sleep, sleeping through the night, enjoying comfortable sleep, and also helped him to manage some cravings and triggers that he had. And he's also reports back to me to let me know that he uses these exercises often. So in summary, let's talk a little bit about wired to thrive. We're not just wired to survive, we are wired to thrive. Our genetic encoding and preference of our body is to survive life. Just like the flower kind of leans towards the sun, healing starts with just one change, which then starts a domino effect of new patterns toward health and growth and restoration. But one modality just isn't enough. Somatic techniques really help the body to move more fluidly through the entire stress response and not get stuck. Just because we have fight, flight, or freeze or ancient strategies doesn't mean that they're not important and valid. We need them. We just don't want to get stuck living there and living there more dominantly than practicing being in our more modern survival strategy. So I realize that we have a backlog of stress and trauma that we're trying to rationalize forward. And then with that, we want to help the body learn how to contract and release safely, breathing in, breathing out. That way they can start to move more fluidly through the entire stress response. So together, really, we just have one common goal, which is healing for our clients. That we know that healing is not one size fits all, and that the body and the brain are really vital parts to complete healing. Somatics are the natural complement to the top-down work that you're doing already. So somatic wellness techniques, in summary, again, they complement the top-down therapy. They're easy to learn, they're self-use. They can help your clients process in the moment. You can do these with your clients during session. You can do them on your own for yourself. And you can even invite your clients to do them between sessions. And so remember, my motto here is, go green, right? Stress is here to stay. We really need to regulate, reset, and recover. And it takes practice to be well. It's not just a moment in time when we say, oh, I've achieved this now. It really takes daily practice. So, helping your clients to identify their stress and regulate their body using these somatic exercises, making them a priority in their lives, definitely in your sessions, doing them together, reminding them that it's always body first. Resolving that body stress is going to help to calm that limbic system and then open them up to the thinking mind that has a story to tell that you can help them process with. Really building rapport with your body to be safe and social and be able to extend that with others is really what's going to be our most valuable asset in life, so that we can, move forward with increased flexibility, agility, and clarity. And just remember that a calm body equals a rational mind. So when we're overwhelmed, we are not thinking clearly. What we need to do first is calm the body down. So I want to thank everybody for listening to me today. There's some opportunities for us to stay connected. I've got a website with lots of social media links. Now for a free consultation, I have a free ebook called Get Empowered with Neuro Energy Tapping. It's my own unique approach to helping trauma transformation using a self-use acupressure technique called tapping. I also welcome any of your private client referrals. I speak nationally as a subject matter expert on the Polyvagal Theory, and I also do online workshops and classes. A special here for anybody participating in this program is I'm inviting you to a private 30-minute video session with me. You can find a link on my website at Transform Connections. And thanks everybody for listening. And I look forward to meeting you in person and answering any questions that you have.